It is Wednesday, December 13th, and the Splash Zone is back in your life where I give out my favorite NBA player props of the day. We're talking today's NBA betting slate, Wednesday, December 13th, and I have my 4 favorite NBA player props for you guys to hammer. Splash Zone meaning who's going to get wet and who's not. Before I can get into today's picks, I do need to do a recap from yesterday, which unfortunately was not one of our days. I gave out another 4 picks. I only got one of those 4 to cash. We end the day down 1.95 units. Jokic got ejected, and I had him to score 30 points. Granted, it didn't look like he was even going to get there if he had played the whole game, but I can at least use the ejection as a reason why he lost. Luckily, we have built up enough profit on the season to withstand this mini cold streak that we are in. On the year, we are up 12.21 units with an ROI of 10.76%. So we have an ROI still above 10%, but never love having 2 down days in a row. Let's hope we can pick it back up today. If you're not already, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and let's get wet. The first play that we're going to go ahead and lock in here in the Pelicans versus Wizards game is Zion Williamson, 30 plus points, plus 190 odds at FanDuel. So if you wanted to be a little bit safer, you could take him at over 25.5 or over 26.5, depending on the odds. I wanted to pump this up to 30 plus points because I'm very confident he can get there, and we're getting pretty juicy odds at plus 190. So despite all the weirdness going on with Zion and the Pelicans being frustrated with his diet and all that stuff, this is the perfect type of matchup for Zion to absolutely dominate. We all know Zion is at his best when he's attacking the basket and when he's scoring at the rim. And the Wizards are essentially an all-you-can-eat buffet in terms of allowing players to go to the rim. They're an all-you-can-eat buffet at the rim. They don't even bother offering really any resistance. They're second in the NBA, the Wizards are, second in the NBA in terms of opponent points allowed, specifically in the paint. The only team behind them are the Pacers, and we all know the Pacers don't resemble a real defense either, and we're going to get to them in a second. And unsurprisingly, points in the paint is exactly where Zion lives. Looking at NBA.com's shot selection dashboard, Zion has attempted 308 field goals this year, 308 field goal attempts. 199 of those 308 were in the restricted area, and he's shooting 70% on those 199 attempts, which is very good. And then another 99 of those 308 attempts are still in the paint, just not in the restricted area. That means if you add up all of his shot attempts in the paint, that is 298 of his 308 shot attempts are all in the paint. So basically 96% of his shot attempts. Also, if you look a little bit in just a little bit bigger detail, 225 of his 308 shot attempts are less than 5 feet from the basket, and he's shooting 67% on those shots as well. Zion, assuming he's even remotely aggressive in this game, should be able to just waltz to the basket, and the Wizards should not put up any resistance for him doing so. Despite the chatter around him, he's been playing much better recently. After a rough start, he scored 30 plus points in 3 of his last 8 games, including his most recent game against the Timberwolves, where he put up 36. And the Timberwolves, again, have the best defense in the NBA. So against the Wizards, again, even if he's even remotely aggressive, he should have no issues scoring in this one. Hopefully he can get us to 30 or more points as our first play. Next up in the Pacers versus Bucks game, we're taking Giannis over 35.5 points, plus 115 odds at ESPN Bet. You can also be a little bit safer and take his main line over 34.5 at minus 105 at DraftKings if you wanted to be a little bit safer. We're only going to back our official play, but just pointing that option out there. Now, we've backed Giannis a bunch this year, including the last time the Bucks played the Pacers. He's come through for us a bunch this year, including the last time the Bucks played the Pacers. His point total has been bet up to such a high number, but it's still worth, in my opinion, taking over 35.5 at plus money. He's someone that, again, I'm not going to track this officially, but he is someone that I would feel comfortable pumping up to 40 plus or 45 plus points if you really wanted to get spicy, but just lower that unit size. Now, Giannis has played the Pacers twice this year. In those 2 games, he scored 54 and 37 points. So in 2 games, 54 and 37 points. Last year, he played the Pacers 3 times. His point total in those 3 games, 41, 25, and 38. So in the past 2 years, he's played the Pacers 5 times and has hit 36 or more points in 4 of those 5 games. As previously mentioned in the last segment, The only team worse than the Wizards in terms of allowing opponent points in the paint are the Pacers. And we all know that Giannis, similar to Zion, also lives in the paint. Now, he's attempted more shots than Zion this year. Giannis has attempted 415. 249 of those have come in the restricted area, and another 75 still in the paint, but in the non-restricted area of the paint. Those aren't quite Zion numbers, but that's still 78% of his shot attempts coming in the paint. Once again, he should be able to dominate the Pacers in this matchup, especially when you consider the fact that the Pacers did bounce the Bucks out of the in-season tournament in their last game. So Giannis is going to be extra motivated to take it to him. Hopefully he can get to 36 or more points. And then if you pump it up, hopefully he can get to that as well. Next up, third pick of the evening in the 76ers versus Pistons game. We're taking Tyrese Maxiell, 30 plus points, plus 155 odds at FanDuel. I will say I tweeted out his main line play last night, so just a reminder to follow me on Twitter as well for plays that I'm not able to get a YouTube video out for. But regardless, our third play is another pumped up prop in another absolutely juicy matchup that you want to target. This time, we're targeting point guards to play against the Pistons. There is no team in the NBA that is worse at defending point guards than the Pistons. They allow literally the most points per game, specifically to the opposing team's point guard. The Pistons do allow the most. And it's a full point difference between the Pistons and the team that allows the second most. So yeah, they're really bad. In this game, that would be Tyrese Maxiell's opportunity to feast. He's been awesome this year. He's been awesome recently as well. He scored 30 or more points in 4 of his last 8 games and in 3 of his last 5. Now, his last game, he only scored 24 points. That was against the Wizards in only 24 minutes of play because the Sixers were up by like 40 points heading into the fourth quarter. Now, obviously, that is a risk against the Pistons, who are also terrible and have lost 20 straight. But this is also a matchup in which Maxiell could put up 30 points, even if he only played 3 quarters. The last time these two teams played, he only got to 29. So let's hope he can just get up to 1 more point, cashing 30 plus points for us as our third play. And next up, fourth and final pick of the evening in the Knicks versus Jazz game. Julius Randle, 25 plus points. This is at plus 114 odds at BetRivers. You can also get him at plus 110 odds at FanDuel if you're like me and BetRivers allows you to bet like literally $2.50. Regardless, we're not talking about that. Looking at Randle after a horrible start to the year, he's really come on and played well recently. Now, in his first 5 games, he didn't even get to 20 points in his first 5 games, and he only got to 25 or more points in 3 of his first 15 games. So very, very slow start. Since then, he has scored 25 or more points in 5 of his last 7 games, including going over 30 in 2 of those games as well. Now, at the beginning of the year, his jumper just miserably failed him. He could not make anything. That's why he struggled so much. That's also what he's coming out of and why he's been playing better recently. Now for tonight against the Jazz, another situation where we're getting an extremely juicy matchup, specifically from a positional advantage. Horrible Jazz defense. They're 25th in terms of points per game allowed, and they're 26th in net rating. And then similar to the other 3 plays, they also struggle specifically at the position that we are backing, which in this case is the forward. Now, this is including both shooting forward and power forward because it's a little bit nebulous between the two. But according to props.cash, the Jazz are literally the worst defense in the NBA at guarding opposing forwards. And if you add up both shooting forward and power forward points allowed per game, they allow 51.09. That is the most in the NBA in terms of both of those positions. So Randle should continue to have a very good stretch of games, getting us to 25 point or more points tonight. And that's all we got. 4 plays, 4 plus money bangers for you guys to lock in. If you're riding with me, make sure to comment and let me know. Other than that, remember to like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. Appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.